Why do some ignore the skeletal remains of the ancient Egyptians when talking about the origin of the human race in ancient Egypt? Do the skeletal remains of the ancient Egyptians scattered throughout the cemeteries of Egypt prove what was the origin of the human race in ancient Egypt? What are the oldest evidences of human activity in ancient Egypt, and what are the anatomical characteristics of the first humans beings in ancient Egypt? In other words, who is the person who lived in Egypt and moved around 60,000 years ago? Do these bones deny that the origin of the Egyptians were niggers, or do they confirm that? To know the answer to these questions, please stay with me. I'm Nazi Suleiman, an Egyptian archaeologist. I'm going to tell you more about Afrocentric. Please follow me. Today I will tell you things that I did not only study, but also did many accurate scientific researches and wrote many scientific literature about it. In my first book on the history of ancient Egypt, which includes a detailed study of Egypt from about 1,000,000 years BC until the year 3150 BC. And in my second book on the history of Egypt as well, which includes permanent and seasonal diseases in prehistoric times in Egypt, and a detailed study of the diseases appearing on the bones of the ancient Egyptians. And in my third book on the history of Egypt as well, which includes ancient Egyptian art in prehistoric times, and also includes the pottery used by the ancient Egyptian, the statues they made, and other types of antiquities spread in that period. In the fourth book of the same encyclopedia, I dealt with the history and effects of the early dynastic era in ancient Egypt, a historical and archaeological study. And, in my first book of the Encyclopedia of Ancient Egyptian Architecture, I dealt with the burial methods and customs of the ancient Egyptians in prehistoric and early dynastic in all the cemeteries of Egypt. Finally, in my book on paleoclimatology, I dealt in the first part of it with the climate and its impact on humans and animals during the Holocene era, that is, within 12,000 years from now. Now, I will take you on a magical journey in which I will tell you the most accurate details of the life of the ancient Egyptian before history. The oldest human skeleton in Egypt dates back to around 55,000 BC. This skeleton is attributed to the child of Wadi al-Tarmshsa. Looking at the bones of this child, we do not find any features of the Negro race. The head is small, the mouth is narrow, and the nose is pointed, just like the current Egyptians. The following human skeleton dates back to Netzlit-Qatar, and this skeleton dates back to about 35,000 years from now. It is the oldest adult human skeleton ever found in ancient Egypt. We can easily notice the small size of the head compared to the upper limbs, as well as the lower expansion of the ribcage, which means a narrow nose, which confirms the absence of any Negro traits in this person. The third skeleton belongs to the man of Wadi al-Qubaniya and dates back to about 21,000 years from now. Looking at the distal, proximal, and ulnar bones, the size of the head, and the area of extension of the thoracic cage, we can note that there are no Negro features on this skeleton. These people lived a very harsh primitive life before the Neolithic period and the beginning of village life in ancient Egypt, tens of thousands of years before history. But what about man in the Neolithic age? Did the blood of black Africans seep into the veins of the Egyptians in that period? One of the oldest sites where human skeletal remains were found in Egypt is the site of Gabel Ramla, known as Nabta Playa, about 150 kilometers west of Aswan and within the lower Nubia region. It seems that these residents enjoyed good health, and this is evident from the study of bones at the site of Gabel Ramla. The average height of men was 170.1 centimeters, with heights ranging from 165.5 centimeters to 175 centimeters, while the average height of women was 159.5 centimeters. Their heights range from 154.5 centimeters to 165 centimeters. Looking at the bones of these humans dating back to about 7000 BC, we do not notice any trace of the Negro race, which may mean that the Negro race did not even reach Africa itself at that time. Hunters lived in the early Neolithic period in Nabta Playa. The Nabta Playa Basin is one of the largest ancient lakes 100 kilometers west of the Nile Valley, and around it were found the remains of many settlements dating back to the Neolithic period. The oldest sites in Nabta Playa date back to about 13,000 years. Nabta Playa is considered the second largest intrusive drainage basin in the south of the western desert of Egypt. While the most important landmarks in it are an astronomical landmark that probably dates back to the period between 7500 BC to 5400 BC, built by the inhabitants in the western corner of the shore of the ancient lake basin. Perhaps the local shepherds used this observatory during their travels in the desert, or to follow the flow of the river, or perhaps to know the seasons of the year. The difference remains in the role of this astronomical circle or group of stones. Some consider it an astronomical building to identify some stars and determine the time of the summer solstice, while another team considers it a religious building. But in more neutral view, this group of stones reflects two important elements. The first is the importance of the north direction for the shepherds to move in the desert while hunting at night. And the second is determining the summer solstice to know the time of rain. It does not seem that this group of stones has anything to do with outer space or the stars, as some non-scholars claim. Which confirms the role of this department in monitoring the summer solstice and knowing the time of rain, as found in the burials of cows that were offered as offerings to the rain when they entered the basin of Lake Napataplaya. But what about the populations near the Nile River basin? Badari is considered the oldest settlement site in Upper Egypt in the Neolithic period, and it is dated according to radiocarbon-14 to about 4,500 years BC. There are thousands of tombs in Badari that date back to prehistoric times. The anatomical characteristics of the population reflected human characteristics characterized by small heads, pointed noses and small mouths. This reflects the absence of any anatomical characteristics of the Negro race in that period as well. And in Naga al-Dir on the eastern bank of the Nile, about 160 kilometers north of Luxor, and its tombs date to about 3800 BC. The tombs of Nag al-Dir also reflect the absence of any origins of the Negro race in Egypt in that period. And in Al-Adedma, 9 kilometers south of Esna, many bones spread on the site for thousands of tombs dating attributed to the prehistory and early dynastic. The tombs of Al-Adedma also reflect the absence of any origins of the Negro race in Egypt in that period. And in Hierakonpolis, which is the first leader of national unity in ancient Egypt, thousands of tombs dating from 3600 BC to 2150 BC. The tombs of Hierakonpolis also reflect the absence of any origins of the Negro race in Egypt in that period. And in an early dynastic period, the Egyptian human race continued, without any evidence of the intervention of the Negro race in forming this human race. This is confirmed by reality, far from intellectual bias, sectarian affiliation or nationalism. It is simply the truth in its simplest form. Dr. Nazi Suleiman was with you. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Hope to meet in a new video tomorrow.